Okay, everybody, this is Professor Todd Giles again. Welcome to the third installment of these miniature lectures for AR105. Just need to go over a few things here at the beginning of the class just to lay the groundwork for where we're going. One of the main things that you need to get down and understand and be able to use are the elements of art. These are the initial building blocks, maybe the ABCs of creating art. Now, we're not creating art in this class, but we do need to be able to discuss artwork. And if we can talk about the elements of art, then we can talk about the artworks. So let me just come over here and break this down a little bit. The elements of art in their basic form are line, color, shape, and form, which that should be, texture, and then pattern, time, and motion. Those we can deal with later. But really, these are the four areas, okay? Shape and form really deal with the shape of things. We'll get into that in a minute. But what we're doing with these is understanding that all pieces of artwork that really have ever been created, we can look at them and communicate about them by describing how line is used, how color is used, how the shapes are used, how the textures are used or created. And as we describe those, two things happen. One, we get to understand the artwork a little bit better, or hopefully a lot better. And we can communicate with others about the artwork. Okay, so let's take a look at this line. Because what we're doing here is looking at the line, we also need to be able to look at the line and assess what it's doing. Describe it. Is it thin? Is it thick? Is it wide? Is it snaking? Is it whatever designation you want to put on it to describe it? In your eyes, that will work. This image of the horse from the Lascaux Caves has this outside line right here, okay? And we would call that an outline or a contour line. It encases a shape, okay? And we can describe this. I would describe this line mostly as a thin black line that's very curvaceous, and it follows the outline to create this horse. And when it gets up to its chest, it disappears. And that black is gone, and this reddish tint here takes over. And in our mind's eye, we can create that. We don't need a full line connecting that. We understand that's where the horse's chest is and up to its neck. And then the line up here is very thick, and the edges are sort of watercolor effect, okay? So even though this line of the back and this line of the mane are two different looks, they're still line, okay? There's a famous saying that a line is just a dot that went for a walk. And I sort of like that. It might have been Paul Klee, the artist, who had said that. But that's a line, and we need to be able to describe it. There's other types of line. There's hatch lines, cross hatch lines. Here's a famous etching by Rembrandt, and where he creates light, there are no lines, or less lines. Where it's dark, that's where lines have overlapped each other and went different directions, and just built it up and built it up and built it up to create that, okay? And if you can hear my cat in the background, again, I do apologize. He wants to get out, but he can't get out right now. Here's another one by Rembrandt, and we can see that with cross-hatching that is curving, he has created the surface of this, what would appear to be velvet coat that he has on, and the fabric hat that he has on, and a different style of line creating his hair. It's very soft and supple. And then we come down here and he's using a different type of line and crosshatch to create what might be a stone wall or a wooden wall. But it's definitely a different type of surface than what he's wearing, his clothing, because the lines are different and he's communicating that to us. There's also implied line. This Caravaggio shows just all kinds of implied line, from this very strong division of light and dark in the background and where it's pointing to this guy here, where everyone in the room is facing either this way to the right or this way to the left. And probably most importantly, implied line is what this guy here is looking at as he's looking down and he's looking at money. Okay. Here we can see a Van Gogh. It's a sketch for Starry Night, and he's working out thicks and thins. So we can actually look at this and we can say, well, there is thin circular lines that are black. There are short, choppy lines that are black and gray. There are longer lines that are brown and very curvaceous. There are hatch lines that follow the hills in the background. So it's all about describing what you see. And here's a few qualities and a few words that are descriptive that I've put here. But that doesn't mean that you have to only use those. You use the ones that you feel are right for you. Here's a gesture drawing. It's very quick. Then we get into color. There's three different areas within color: hue, value, saturation, and you probably add overall tone. And here, the hue, we can talk about red, blue, yellow. Those hue really is those English words for color, but it really differentiates that's more of the art history word for color. Value, is it dark, is it light? Saturation, is it more vibrant or is it dull? Okay. The overall tone of this piece really is dark, except for this white sheet in the middle and the very light body of Christ. That's the only thing here that really is popping out. Okay. If that were to be dulled down, this would be a very, very, very dark piece. Now, back to hue, we've got blue on Mary. We've got red on John, the evangelist. The blue is a dark or a dull blue. The red here is not really vibrant, but it's a bright red. It's a dark red in some respects. So it doesn't really mimic the dark blue, but it really contrasts that. Also for color, this one, the overall tone on this clay piece is dark, it's dull. There's really nothing inspiring and energizing about it. It's almost like a cold autumn day versus a bright spring day. Okay, and the color is what does that. And we can describe it that way. Here, looking at some Rothkos, all kinds of various hues here. Bright blue, dark blue, black, gray, white, yellow, sort of whitish, orange, black, pink, purple, lighter orange, darker orange. Okay, so again, we're describing the colors, what we see. And here, to finish up this little segment, is going to be this piece by Warhol, which he's taken those colors and really changed them away from what they actually are. It's not red lipstick anymore. It's not black mascara. It's not blonde hair anymore. He's changed it in an artistic way to make something new out of it. This is very vibrant, almost day glow. And the original silk screens just burst with color. What we see here on screen is nothing like the original. Okay, next we're going to do the small lecture on the rest of the elements and then move on.